that whole qualifying thing was an education, wasn't it? I mean, there's a technique to that. You can't just go out there and ride around, can you?
No, I had no idea what I was doing and had no idea how it all
Sounds
worked.
like me in the 80s.
Yeah, but how would you?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I wasn't
exactly.
on a big team. You know, I was a privateer with a bike and parts deal from Husqvarna, and I'd got my weekend mechanic, Ken, and he'd not done GPs before. So we just went, and there was qualification, and we knew that you had to qualify with lap times to try and get in a GP, but I just rode round and round and round, trying to go faster each time and getting slower and slower, and didn't make it.
Had you ever been to a GP prior to that to spectate, to watch?
Only at Farley.
Only in the UK,
Only
yeah.
at
So you've
Farley and
never been.
Hawkstone.
You'd never been to a race abroad up until that point, really.
No. So it hadn't occurred to me that I might go faster if I just do one flying lap like they do in Formula One. It sounds obvious now. But back then, you know, my dad didn't know anything about motocross. He wasn't a rider. Who was going to tell me this? And so the first couple of GPs I struggled at, and then we soon figured out that that was the way to do it. And I eventually qualified probably for my third or fourth 250 GP.
You were always a good qualifier, though. Once you got the hang of it, you was...
Once
I
I
don't remember
figured
it being a problem to get in. I don't remember it being an issue. It was never a question.
Might have been in his mind.
No, it wasn't.
No, but you know, funny enough, since thinking about my career a lot with a book, lots of things have come into mind, and that is that I never ever practiced going fast. If I went out practicing in the week, I would ride for 45 minutes because that's what we did. You know, you've got to be a badass, gnarly rider, and you need to, you know, ride because we were doing 40-minute plus 2 lap motos. So I'd practice for 2 45-minute sessions. Your 1 lap speed isn't going to increase by riding around for 45 minutes. It's like Usain Bolt training and doing 3-hour marathons. They're two different things.
That's all you did was motos. You didn't do any technique work. You just did motos.
No, I did motos and thought, well, that's my practicing. And now I realise that actually that was probably wrong. I should have practiced doing shorter sessions and sprints and that sort of thing. If you want to go fast for 1 lap, practice doing 1 lap.
Yeah.
And I'd never done that. And it was only when I got into GPs and started doing that in qualifying that I think that's what raises your speed up. You're actually practicing going as fast as you can. And when you're riding around for 45 minutes, you're not practicing going as fast as you can. You're practicing going around at 95%.
Until you've raced GPs, and both of us been fortunate enough to do that, that's a valid point. It's incredible subconsciously how racing GPs elevate your game.
Jeff's just hit on a good point that riding with GPs riding in GPs back then made a difference to your riding. And it probably would today as well.
Yeah.
Because for 2 reasons. One, there are faster riders there. If you want to ride faster, ride with the fastest riders. Learn from the best. They drag you on. And secondly, as it was back then, time qualifying.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I started getting into the swing of GPs and practicing that qualifying just at the races, when I came back to Britain, all of a sudden my level had gone up a bit.
Yeah.
I came back from the GPs as a
You were beating guys
better
who
rider.
could beat you before.
But I found that happened, but you don't sense it. You don't feel like you've got quick. That's what I felt. Like I didn't feel any better than. But I kind of then I'd come back and think, what's that? I'm beating that guy, and I don't feel I'm doing anything different than what I was doing 6 months ago.
All my best rides, I never felt that I was doing anything different.
No.
The days when I beat Thorpe once at Matchams and had second in a GP moto, I'm just riding around thinking, where are the other guys today? What has it been a red flag and I haven't noticed it or something? And the following week I go out and have not such a good ride and think, what am I doing wrong here?
Yeah.
And I found that very frustrating as a rider.
You think you analyse stuff a lot more than most?
I'm with you on that. I can see a lot of similarities.
But I mean, do you
between
think
me
Mark
and Robbie.
Banks thought that? No offence to Mark, but Mark just went out and went as fast as he could.
No, but you know, the benefit of hindsight and looking back, it made me think, well, why couldn't, you know, I beat all of those good guys. The only guy that I don't ever remember beating in a race was Andre Malherbe. All of the others, Garquist, Gabor, Thorpe, and I'm not saying this just to big myself up, but I remember at one point or another, I beat them all in a race fair and square. But then I couldn't, the next week I'd go out and I'd be crap. And I couldn't understand it. And it was very frustrating. And so I've tried to think, well, why is that? Why were those guys so much more consistent than me? Why couldn't I reach my best form every week? Because for somebody like Thorpe or Malherbe, a bad day for them was, 2/5. For me, a bad day was a double no score.
Yeah.
And that really screws up your championship.
I had the same with Reynard because he was, on his day, fastest kid in the world, no question. But second moto, he could be 24th. And that's it. Don't know. That's me.
I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know what's more frustrating there, being the rider or the mechanic or the family member or the supporter. I don't know, because as a rider, it's you, isn't it? And you deal with it. But when
Well, you got the people disappointed at you. I was always just like pissed off.
Or were those guys, were they just that much faster that they were riding at 90% most of the time?
Yeah.
That's why they didn't crash, because their ultimate speed was way more than me. And so they can go around at 90%, and I'm on the limit, and I'm, up there, sometimes beating them, but they got so much more in reserve.
So you think, like, for a French international, for example, you'd be racing with these guys, then you go to a Grand Prix on the weekend, they beat you. You're like, well, what's... Or are they going? Are they just not? Are they just there for the money? Are they just there for the start
French
money?
internationals. I'd beaten all of those guys.
Yeah.
Apart from Andre, I don't remember ever being in front of him. But Germany '87 in the mud, I beat Carquist fair and square. We went backwards and forwards for 40 minutes.
That was muddy, though, wasn't it? Then downhills were so gnarly. They were just like.
But I also wonder whether in those conditions, because some of my best results were in the mud. Germany '87, I rode well. Spain. Beginning of that year, '87, the day I beat Thorpe at Matchams was muddy. It was very wet. Whether in those conditions, those better bikes don't have the advantage that they normally have. And so if you're on a stock bike or your bike's not as good as them, it doesn't matter so much.
No.
When your bike's covered in 200 pounds of mud, does it really matter that it's got titanium fasteners?
That's to him.
Just to me. I got kids shoes to buy.